Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Pockets Full of Soup. I'm your host, Jared Petty. I'm joined today by the handsome, the debonair, the suave, the intelligent, the charismatic. What's your name again?
Alfredo
Diaz. That's right. Hi, Alfredo. Welcome.
What's up, Jared, baby girl? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I have here, it's a lovely Saturday afternoon. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. And I'm here with just a stupendously lovable man.
It's a lovely day. Speaking of like my name, everyone's been tweeting at me about the first episode of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Apparently he meets some young guy and is like, "Oh, is your name Alfredo Diaz because that guy left me when I was a kid?" And I was like, apparently Marvel thinks I'm a deadbeat dad. Thanks, Marvel.
I mean, is there anything you need to confess to now?
Nope. No.
Do you have any progeny out there?
Nope.
No children you know of?
Not yet.
Okay, there we go. So not yet. You want to have kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Hell yeah,
you like kids?
A little man, on my side.
Yeah, how many?
I'm saying 2.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling real frisky, we'll adopt a 3rd one.
Oh, frisky?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm feeling like, all right, I got a handle on the wife and the kids, and I still want more, or maybe there's 2 girls and I want a boy, maybe there's 2 boys and I want a girl, or maybe I just want more kids, then we'll adopt a 3rd one.
Okay, well, first off, I know Jackie, and I'm pretty sure you're never getting a handle on her. If anything, she's got a handle on you. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
There is no taming that Russian bear. That's for damn sure.
So you'd like to do you like kids then?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fun.
Oh, I would say
pleasant.
Yeah, kids can be remarkably pleasant. I genuinely like other people's kids, especially because then when you're done with the fun part, they get to go back and you're like, yeah, all right.
I think it's just pretty interesting being able to like influence and shape someone's life.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be pretty rewarding and challenging too at the same time. Let's be honest.
What's the most terrifying thing about fatherhood for you?
If it's a girl, high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why high school?
I know how it gets in high school. You want to go out, you want to hang out, and all that kind of stuff.
Now that worries you if it's a girl but not a boy?
I mean, it's a boy. One of those things where, like, look here, little man. All right, you're gonna have to calm down. You have to focus. If it's a girl, it's like, all right, I know how them boys be.
Oh my!
I know how them boys be.
I did not see you. I've never envisioned you as the protective. The protective father.
I'll protect my own.
But you feel like you're going to be more protective of a daughter sexually than a son?
Definitely.
That's interesting.
For sure.
There is a can of worms that you have just unscrewed right there. That's a. For more on that, see the no.
But it's going to be a give and take system, right?
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's going to be one. I mean, Jackie and I discussed this. Like, if we're take that step and get into the whole parenting situation, it'd be like a give and take, right? So it's like, all right, you want to go out, you want to do what you want to do, you want to stay out late, that's fine, but bring home the grades. You know what I'm saying?
Bring home the grades.
Bring home the grades.
Yeah, my dad really only had one rule for me growing up, and that was don't make me come pick you up in jail.
That's a good rule.
That was the rule.
That's a good one.
That was the main rule. It's like, don't make me come get you in jail. And that never happened. So only time I ever ended up in police custody was many years later. So that I guess he succeeded in that part.
Yeah. I mean, officers can be pretty forgiving.
Oh, for
sure.
The policemen.
I remember doing donuts in a parking lot. And then getting pulled over and getting the warning and everything like that. And I was like, whoo, never again.
Might have been caught in Epcot Center at 2:00 in the morning. I might have gotten to ride in the Disney paddy wagon. Do you know Disney has a paddy wagon?
No,
they do.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, though.
It's not security either. They're cops. It's real cops. It's an interesting, weird thing. That's another story, though. All right, so let's go ahead instead. And let's talk about that first question that it's always the same until I decide to change it. Fredo, tell me about somebody you're thankful for.
So I realize a lot of people talk about their fathers. I have a dark past with my father.
Oh,
a pretty dark, deep past with him, which I'm totally down to dive right into. Or do you want to go into who I'm grateful for?
Well, why don't we go to who you're grateful for? We'll start there. I'm in. When you said that, I'm intrigued by it. Actually, because. The focus, at least to the first question, is you're thankful for, but I don't want you to hesitate to talk about the honest parts of life. We talk a lot about positivity here, but positivity without the context of negativity is just saccharine. I mean, we have to be able to talk about the way life really is. So I never want anybody to hesitate to talk about the harder parts of life. But let's start today with that person that you decided to pick out and identify as somebody you're especially thankful for today.
So that person, as a lot of you know already, his name is Tim Gettys.
Tim Gettys.
My best friend of over 10 years.
Tim Gettys is your best friend?
Yep.
Okay, so does that mean, what's Kevin, chopped liver?
Kevin, he breaks things. So I feel like he can only get so high on the best friend tier before just like...
What does he break? What of yours has Kevin
everything.
broken?
The thing is, like, Kevin is so helpful, but then it gets to the point where it's like 25% of that helpfulness is because he broke it in the first place.
No, wait, the way you're describing Kevin, broke something in life, broke a relationship, or broke a printer.
Just like Kevin's like, oh, you have a 60 hertz monitor, you can do it at 144. Let's figure out how to do it. And all of a sudden, the monitor doesn't turn on. It's like, Kevin, what'd you do to the monitor?
Smoke coming out of it.
What's happening here? Why is there a fire in my house?
Did that happen? Has Kevin ever set your house on fire?
No, but I feel like he's very much capable of doing so.
Yeah.
But then, I'll get something really cool out of it at the same time. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll get some really awesome ass cable management going on with a home system theater or something like that. But then the house will be on fire. So it's like a give and take.
So it's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah.
So the way you're describing Kevin right now, I'm kind of imagining the music that plays when the Ewoks appear and her that do do do.
Yeah, that's about it.
Like that happy little thing.
Yeah, he's very much an Ewok.
So what about? But you say, but in these lifelong friendships, these long friendships here.
Yep.
Tim is the person you're most thankful for. Tim Gettys. If people aren't familiar with Tim, this is Tim Gettys, formerly of IGN, now of Kinda Funny.
Yes, sir.
A successful businessman, entrepreneur, host.
It's very true. The whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
This is very true.
Why Tim?
I mean, we'll get into the other half, but for the most part, I grew up without a dad.
Okay.
Right. Not that Tim is my father figure. No, it's just Tim was always someone, that I connected with, who we had very similar interests. But for the most part, growing up, in high school and then college and everything, he always just kept it real with me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was just, I would go, he's my best friend, so I talked to him about any type of situation, but he was always like, hey, you're fucking up right now. You are in the wrong. This is your bad. And that's just something that, personally, I always needed in my life, mm-hmm. Not someone that's it's not that bad. Maybe, there's right and wrong, but, he'll give it to me straight.
All right, now you've twice in the course of the last few minutes, in the context of Tim, mentioned your father and that not being a good relationship. Let's go there because it sounds like it's important to this story.
Yeah.
You and your dad's relationship is not what you wish it were?
No. I was always one of those kids, I was always into sports or whatever, and I was always trying to get my father's attention when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And all I ever really wanted was just, I don't know, middle school was the closing pitcher. I just wanted to just be the catcher, right? And just have those moments where those iconic moments of me just throwing the ball with my dad or whatever. And
Kevin Costner to
exactly.
in the Field of Dreams moment?
Yeah, it's my Field of Dreams moment. But it was just never there. My dad and my mom, they met when they were really young. My mom was 21. My dad was 18. They had me. My dad wasn't really around. My mom was working 2 jobs. My grandma raised me.
Your grandmother raised you?
My grandmother did raise me.
Your dad, you say he wasn't around. Did he leave? Was he just not present in the house often?
Honestly, it's just it's a lot of responsibility, and I just don't think that he handled it very well, mm-hmm. to be honest. And then eventually he did come back, and him and my mom, try to make this whole family. And, they mm-hmm. had 2 more kids, and my younger sister, my younger brother. And they moved out to Anaheim, and, they were just like, all right, because my grandma did not like my father at all whatsoever. Mm-hmm. At one point in time, he, broke into the house and, tried to kidnap me away to spend time with me. And
I don't really want to completely gloss over that one, because that's kind of and then there was that time that my dad tried to kidnap me, and then maybe just without, I don't want to raise painful details for you, but can you provide some context for that?
I've come to live with all this. No, I was really, really young, a baby. Probably around 1 or 2 years old, and I guess I don't know what came over my dad, but I guess he decided that he wanted to see me, spend time with me, right? And so he broke into my grandma's house.
And your grandma had made it clear he wasn't welcome there at that point?
Yeah. I mean,
was he legally barred from seeing you at that point?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But, he did snatch me up and, took me to, my grandma's house on his side of the family. And that's all I remember.
Do you know did your grandma come in and find you missing?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, he came in and snatched me, so, baby would go missing.
So did somebody call, my baby is missing? I mean, was
there there's the whole,
gosh.
calling of the cops and then, communicating with each other, trying to figure out. Yeah,
and you were too small to remember all this,
I was too small to remember the details. But then eventually my mother and my father decided to, make things work. They had 2 more children, younger brother, younger sister.
Later on.
And then, of course, since my grandma didn't really like my father, they were like, hey, let's get away from this, household. And let's move to Anaheim. Let's do our own thing there. That didn't work out for them, My father kind of drove my mother to the point of her trying to run him over with the car. Yeah, I know. It's pretty interesting. Right?
Your mother...
We lived in a cul-de-sac. I had a golden retriever. I went to Walt Disney Elementary School, and Disneyland was 10 minutes away. I saw the fireworks every night.
Again, I know we're far from Tim here, but you just said my mother tried to run over my father with a car.
Yeah.
Was this in a fit of rage? What happened?
Yeah, fit of rage. I mean, my dad was just not a trustworthy, faithful man.
And was there a moment where he was in a road and she was in a car and it all clicked?
It's just one of those things that she was coming home and then she was just fed up with it. And I mean, she's a Filipino woman, so Filipinos get very emotional being around them all my life.
I did not know that.
And so she decided to put the pedal to the metal.
And he was outside in the driveway or something?
Yeah.
Did not, she strike him?
Did not connect with the car, so that's a
connect
good thing.
With the house?
No.
Okay.
So, that's good. There's no major damages or anything.
We can determine at this point that the relationship in the house, dynamic to say the least. Mm-hmm. Things not how you would necessarily like them to be.
No,
and
not at all.
Your father not a presence in your life like you would want him to be. Mm-hmm. And then you have described Tim as somebody that is analogous in your life, largely to a father figure. How'd you meet Tim?
So that story's been told a couple times, but I remember it was, start of high school. It was history class. And so, young freshman me, I walk in and I'm like, okay, first things first. Who are the chicks in the class? Who are the ladies? You got to distinguish who's the tiers.
Are you walking in as a playa?
No, I'm walking in as just a young male. A young freshman male.
You're just walking in hello, ladies, I'm available.
That's I walked in. And the second thing, I was like, all right, who's my competition? So I look around. I'm like, it's that dude in the corner. He's tall. And I was like, he has spiked hair with bleach tips and a giant white hoodie with Japanese calligraphy on it. But he's white. So I was like, I don't know, maybe he has style. I don't know, but I saw him as competition, and that was Tim at the time.
You walked into the classroom, and the first thing you thought was, hello, ladies. And the thing you thought is, I got your number.
Yeah, I'm like, that guy right there, he's competition.
Oh, how did that work out?
So we sat next to each other, and we didn't talk for, I don't know, a week. So it's just...
Did you just avoid talking to him because he was competition?
I mean, there was just no reason to.
Did he view you as competition?
I don't know how Tim viewed me.
You never asked him this? What he thought of you before you guys talked?
I don't really think he thought much of me.
No?
I think it was one of those things where we just both sat there all
you
right.
weren't worth the trouble to think about?
I don't know about that. I just don't think Tim thought that way.
Okay.
He
didn't walk into a room and go, hey, ladies, there's
that guy.
But I'm available.
But
how does Tim look at a room when he walks in? How does freshman Tim when he walks into a classroom? What's he think?
He's thinking, oh man. I mean, he definitely was very much into. I mean, this is us being young males, but
we do dumb things when we're young.
He was very much into small Asian chicks, so that probably crossed his mind to see if there was any small Asian chicks in the room.
So Tim's perspective on things is both of you. We're
young.
You sound like pretty horrible people at this point in your life.
I mean, it's just anyone in high school. You're gonna go in and you're like, who's gonna be my friend? Who's good looking? Who's who's the quiet one? You start classifying people, putting people into categories. You're young. You don't know. Do you feel like
that kind of you talk about classification or cliquishness? Do you feel like that's something that's you learn, or something that you kind of enforce in your own mind, or how do you think that happens?
I just think you kind of get a taste of that in middle school, right? I know in elementary you're kind of just running around, you have your friends, but then middle school, that's when you start to get cliquey and you start to get like real close friends, and then that eventually transitions into high school where you're just like, all right. But going back to the story, yeah, Tim and I, we didn't talk for a couple weeks until one day we sit next to each other. We're on the second floor. There was a window behind us. One day we're sitting there, teacher's teaching, everyone's learning. A different history teacher comes in, right? Comes in through the front door, walks, across the class, down our aisle, up to us, past us, and out the window. And we looked at each other.
Are you in a first floor window?
Second floor.
A second floor window.
Second floor window. And no one really noticed. No one really said anything.
Wait, no one noticed?
So we sat there like looking at each other like, did this really just happen? Did we just witness our another history teacher committing suicide?
Had you in fact witnessed him committing suicide?
No. He was just a really quirky teacher to begin with. Really like weird outgoing personality. He was locked out of his classroom, so he decided to scale the side of the building to get back into class via the window that was open.
This made more sense to him than finding the custodian and asking for the spare key?
I guess it did.
That's a little weird, man.
I guess it did.
So you and Tim both witnessed this debacle. Is this what brings you together?
So that's when we, at that point, we started having a little bit of chitter-chatter here and there. We're like, all right, like, that was the icebreaker for us. But what really, started this whole friendship was for some weird reason, I was really into Halo during the time. That was during the time where I started becoming an FPS player, and that's who I am today.
Right, you're a professional game player. That's what you do. You play video games for a living.
I do play video games for a living. Yeah. But I remember I had this DVD of a Halo tournament, and I used to watch it all the time. And for some reason, I thought it was really cool to bring it into class and keep it on my desk. So Tim leans over and he goes, "Oh, so you play Halo?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, all right." Like my best friend, Curran. He's talked about him a lot, and Curran's actually a really good friend of mine as well. We've been friends for just as long as Tim and I have been friends. He goes, "Yeah, my friend Curran, he plays Halo 2, and he's really good. Like, you guys should meet each other. You guys should talk and hang out." So anyways, Tim, sets this up. I go, I meet them. It's all three of us standing there. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of quiet. Nothing's really happening. And then I just look at him. I look at Kurt and I just go, "So, what gun do you use?" And he just goes, "Sniper rifle." And I just look back and I'm like, "I used a pistol, man." And then we just, for some reason, we thought we were so badass. And
this is how you identify. You're like, sniper rifle, pistol.
I was looking down and I'm like, "You use a sniper rifle?" Like, "I use the pistol. It's good in all situations, all right? Like, I'll get up close and I'll wreck you."
Did he have a counterpoint with that?
He was just good. I remember eventually later, I think it was later that year, because Kern always had a LAN party where everyone always went to his house, and we gamed it up for 3 days. I think it was the year after we decided to find out who was the best Halo player.
Okay.
It was a 1v1 match on Hang 'em High.
Okay.
It took 3.5 hours to get to 25 kills.
Who won?
I won by one.
By one. 3.5 hours. Did that somehow make the victory all the sweeter?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah,
but
just being by one.
It also made sense. I was like, we always stuck us on opposite teams. We were always dueling it out. You already got a feeling that, all right, this is going to be a brawl. It's not going to be a quick, one and done. This is a marathon here.
That's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Would you describe? So that happens, and suddenly drawn together by a mutual interest.
Yep.
You and Tim and Curran become friends. But Tim, you're both freshmen? You same age?
Yeah. That's when we started off as freshmen.
All right, so you're both freshmen. Tim, you say, quickly begins to fill a place in your life that you felt like might have been empty. You didn't feel like you had anybody to look you in the eye and say, "You got to change this. This is wrong."
Yeah.
Or you think
just
about
someone
this
to
way.
really lean on.
So let's start with that first one, because when you started the show, you gave you said somebody to get in my face. What's an example of a time that Tim took you down in a way that ended up really helping you?
Just kind of when it came down to my education, to be honest. Or got to the point where he was noticing, like, hey, you're not coming to school. Like, what is happening here? What's going on? And it was one of those things. I was like, well, this is going on, with my family and that. And he was like, that's not an excuse. You just got to do it, man. Like, this is important. You just got to get it done, And I just admire that about him, that he's always just upfront.
Why did you listen to him? Why did the words have authority to you?
It's just one of those things where, like, I didn't really have anyone who stuck around in my life for that long during that time, and here's someone that was a constant, and it just kind of took me by surprise, because all my life it's just kind of like, all right, like I was very pampered by my grandmother and my mom to some degree, and it was just one of those things like, whoa, it was a little bit of a shocker. Like, this guy is telling me, like, I'm giving out these excuses and he's not eating it up, right? He's sitting here saying, like, well, that's tough luck, like, get shit done, dude.
You're not used to somebody talking to you like that? Had anybody ever talked to you like that before?
No, not really. And that's one of those things where, like, you expect at least, I don't know, one of the two parents in your, in your childhood growing up would be that, like, firm, kind of like, right arm in the relationship, right hook. But, like, I just didn't have that.
Why do you think you reacted positively to it? Was it because of the trust that it built? Because of the constant presence? I mean, somebody looks you in the eye and tells you that's not good enough. I mean, people could have a couple of responses. They could respond with, wow, there's really something there. Or they could respond with, well, screw you. Why did you choose the first one?
I think it was just one of those things that, I already knew the answer in my head, right? I already knew that I was spewing out just bullshit. So at that point, like, to see someone just be real with me, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
So Tim was telling you the truth, and you recognized the truth.
Yeah, it was one of the things, like, I already knew it, and here's someone telling me, from a different point of view, and so it's just one of those things that kept happening, like, throughout high school, right? Where it came with any kind of situation, whether it be a relationship or just home stuff. And even to this very day, like, one of the things I like about Tim is just that, like, for Jackie and I, our relationship, right? I can go to him and be like, yo, like, this is happening. It's like, well, what's her side of it, right?
Well, that was a really good Tim Well, by the way.
Yeah.
That was a very good Tim. He kind of does that. Whoa, like that. That's really good. That's really good. And he says, what's her side of it? He advocates for the other.
He advocates for both. And the thing is just like, even though he's my best friend, right, he understands how important Jackie means to me. So, like, he understands that, like, he has to be that in-between, right? And I think it's very difficult for anybody to do that, right? To kind of stay in between as opposed to, I grew up with this guy, so, and I think that's rare to find.
And he's just been a presence like this. Has he ever left? I mean, have you guys just pretty much been in continual contact since the day your teacher jumped out a second-story window? I mean,
it's just one of those things where, over the past 10 years, there has been times where, we don't talk that much for like a year or so, but that's never, ever been a problem in our relationship. I remember we just kind of always, whenever we hang out, whenever we talk, it's always like, all right, back to doing whatever we're doing. Because it's just one of those things that, like, Tim and I, we're just the kind of people that we don't need to constantly be talking to each other all the time. And we understand, like, hey, you're doing this thing or doing our thing, but, like, we miss each other. Is that type of thing. It's the bromance of it all.
When's the last time you saw him?
A couple months ago. I mean, he's been really, like, busy with the kind of funny stuff. And then on top of that, like, for me being a full-time Twitch streamer, every time I take a break from, streaming or taking a day off, it's always like, this is me, like, not building my community and not keeping things consistent and whatnot.
That must be a pretty tremendous stress.
I mean, it's not stressful. It's because at the end of the day, it's like I love playing video games, right? And I love... for me, it's just like I get to hang out with, the love of my life, Jackie, and my best friends, from the internet.
Oh, I didn't mean that the job is intrinsically stressful in what you do day to day, but walking away for a day and feeling like you're missing an opportunity, that strikes me as something. Maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
It totally can be. Like yesterday, I wanted to go to a hip hop concert with Tim and his brother, and it was like Cunning Linguist was the name of the rap group, and like we have been following and watching those guys for the longest at this point, but it was one of those.
I'm sorry, is it kind of linguist?
Kind of linguist.
That's really clever.
Yeah, and it's a real good band, so you guys should definitely look it up. It's really, really solid. But
Languist, like that's that's sublime pun.
It's great.
All right, so, but you couldn't do it.
No, because I mean it's one of those things where I did plan on doing it. I was like, great, I have the time. Jackie's off too, but yesterday Twitch announced the whole Twitch Prime thing. So if you're an Amazon Prime user, you get to subscribe to a Twitch channel for free once a month, right? And so I was like, well, like I really should be on campaigning this and doing that, and it was beneficial. But at the same time, I was like, great, I missed out hanging out, with my best friend, watching, my favorite hip hop artist go at it.
Where are you going after this interview?
After this, though, I am going to go to Kevin's engagement party and spend a bunch of time with loved ones, so I'm looking forward to that.
And Tim will be there, right?
Tim will be there.
Are you going to tell Kevin that you compared him to an Ewok?
I mean, it's the type of thing I think Kevin already knows that.
Are you going to tell Tim that he was competition?
He knows this already.
Are you going to ask Tim what he thought of you when you first met him?
Yeah, you know what? I think I will.
You should ask me that. I'd really like
Yeah.
to know how that goes.
But going back to just the two of us, I mean, we don't have to be constantly talking 24/7. I remember, though, the time that the year that almost quote unquote broke us apart, when really it wasn't anything, we just like to make that joke, was when I heavily got invested into Counter-Strike.
Okay.
There was a year in high school where I was already doing FPS gaming and whatnot. I believe it was sophomore year. I started gaming like on Xbox Live, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. I don't get to just play against my uncles in the LAN. Like, I get to play against other people. This is so cool. And I was doing really well. I was ranked high when leaderboards counted more back then, right? And I got roped into a clan, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I get to join a crew, and we get to have these practices, and I get to learn these strats.
But Tim wasn't along for the ride.
So Tim, like, he wasn't like a hardcore FPS person at all.
Yeah. And
it was one of those things, like, after school, he'd, like, yo, we're hanging out. What are we doing? I'm like, nah, man, like, gotta go home. I gotta scrim. I gotta clan versus clan match and all that kind of stuff. And so during that whole year, it just consisted of Tim being like, let's hang out. And I was like, nah, I gotta scrim. Like,
Was Tim a Counter-Strike widow?
He was.
So what changed that? Like, did it strain your relationship?
No. I mean, we didn't hang out as much, but it was one of those things that we always hung out at school. And honestly, all throughout, it's starting freshman year, every summer and every winter break, I would just pack up my stuff and be like, all right, guys, like, all right, fam, like, you guys know where I'm going. I'm going to Tim's for like 2 months. I'll be back.
So in the middle of that, you still spent a lot of time even living with him.
Yeah.
But so there wasn't really any huge strain there. I mean, did he ever feel rejected, actually? I know you guys you joke a lot, but did he miss you?
No.
Good. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. But that's the closest you ever got. You've pretty much constantly been in contact. What's something about Tim that nobody knows?
Ooh. I mean, I think a handful of people, or even mildly close to him, know this, but he has a truckload of great ideas that he always hesitates on.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that?
I mean, it's just one of those things that we kind of became perfectionists, right? I mean, in high school, we wanted to, whenever we had an opportunity, like a class project, we always went up to the teacher and was like, hey, can we make a video out of this? Like, we wanted to always just make cool, ridiculous, stupid videos.
Okay.
And then eventually put this on the internet. But we had just like a treasure trove of ideas, and it was just one of those things where it was just like, it was never 100% perfect, in our eyes, especially in Tim's eyes.
Yeah.
And so there were just a lot of things that we just never did. So Tim's hard drive right now is full of just like partial, like half done, not even completely finished projects
that might have satisfied most mortals, but not
definitely.
Tim.
Like, we dressed up Curran to look like Eggman and put him in a shopping cart, and dressed up Tim to look like Sonic. And we were going to do a whole, like, in real life Sonic the Hedgehog thing in high school.
Why is this not available to the people of the earth?
It wasn't like exactly what we wanted, you know what I mean? And during that time, I was still learning how to work a camera. Tim was learning, how to get his visual effects skills up. And it's just like, that's.
What drives Tim crazy about you?
I think it's the fact that I'm not fully utilizing my potential.
Do you mind expounding on that? If you're comfortable
I mean, it was one of those things where, like, when I jumped out of IGN, I was Twitch streaming, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, why aren't you YouTubing? Why aren't you doing Patreon too as well? You know what I mean? It was those type of things. And even now, it's like, I'm doing Patreon, I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing Twitch streaming. Why am I not podcasting? Mm-hmm. Like, it's these type of things where...
Do you feel that you are not realizing your potential?
I do, definitely.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just one of those things I'm always in conflict with myself, and even Jackie got to the point where she's like, "You're just making excuses." Where it's just like, "Whoa, do I spend 4 hours a day making this YouTube video, right? And then streaming for 6 hours, or I just stream for 12 hours straight up, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Because when I stream, it's more of just like, all right, I stream and I see like instant payback for that,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to YouTube. That's a grueling grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spend 4 hours a day, make a video, having fun doing it, but put it up, get like 1,000 views, 10,000 views, just like that. But keep grinding, keep doing it. When I just like, well, I just streamed 12 hours a day. Like yesterday I streamed 8 hours, got 50 subs. It was a good day.
But you feel that doesn't represent stretching yourself?
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I know how to make that content, and it's like I feel like I don't know, feel almost lazy to a point where I'm like, why am I not doing that?
You don't seem lazy to me, but that's.
But you can definitely always do more.
I should be listening instead of talking here. Actually, this is one of those cases where I was a bad interviewer. Because you told me earlier that you feel like what makes Tim's criticism often so authoritative is he tells you what you already know.
Yeah.
Or you feel like you already know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel this is one of those cases?
Yeah, I do feel like it. I feel like it's all trying to balance things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I do feel like, all right, maybe stream for 12 hours and then work on make something for YouTube for like 4 hours a day. But it's just one of those things where like I cherish the time that I have with Jackie right now, because I know eventually we'll be even further into our careers, and then further into the whole adult thing. So it's one of those things where like, yep, streamed 8 hours and I just want to spend good quality time.
Well, let me ask you a hard question here then. Do you think that you're not acting up to your potential, or do you think you're acting up to the potential that you'd rather have? Because time with somebody you love is important too. How do you actually feel about that? What are your thoughts, or are you conflicted?
I mean, I'm happy. So at the end of the day, like that's all that matters, right? Like the fact that I am happy. Mm-hmm. So I think it's all about balance. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be one of those things where maybe I could start streaming and then figure out how to, because you could stream and record at the same time. I just need I have a powerful rig, but at this point I need a second rig, to like a dual PC setup.
Yeah.
Maybe invest into that, and then like it'll take longer for me to transcode all the footage and whatnot. If I want to start podcasting, spending time with Jackie, maybe we just podcast about random stuff together.
So you feel like you could be doing more, but at the same time, you're okay. This is interesting.
Yeah, so it's a constant
by the way, I appreciate the transparency. We're kind of getting a look into your head here.
Yeah.
What's Tim's answer? If you go when you go to Tim tonight, and if you were to say, Tim, Jared and I were talking on the show, and he asked me this question, and I said all these things you just said to me, what's Tim going to say to you?
Tim's like, why aren't you doing it? why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? So, yeah.
All right, let's switch around the other way. Is there a time that you ever really helped Tim?
Ooh. I mean, I think it's just not a time where I majorly helped him. I think it's always been like a small helping hand.
Can you expand on that?
In terms of just like if he, needed someone to help out with this project, or if he needed a perspective, or if he needed someone to co-host, or if he needed someone to do that. You know what I mean? It was always just like, it was never like, all right, Alfredo, help me out with this big, tremendous, life-changing thing. It was always just like, I can always go to him. Mm-hmm. I can always go to Alfredo for, pretty much anything that he's capable of doing. And so that's always been like my role for him.
So your relationship to your father wasn't what you wanted it to be. Your family at times was sometimes, there was some, your mother tried to run over your father with a car.
I actually there's actually so much more to that whole father story.
Yeah, I think we need to have you back to talk about that one day. I think that sounds like a pretty amazing story too, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
But what I want to ask you about Tim is on this. So he served in a role that you felt like you wished your parents had kind of been in. Mm-hmm. You've also talked about having children at the beginning of the show someday.
Yeah.
What about Tim is going to make you a better father?
Ooh. I think it's not so much about Tim that will make me a better father. This is kind of going off track. In terms of like what would make me a better father is my good friend and former boss at IGN, Darren Brazil.
Yeah?
I really look up to Darren and his parenting skills.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just seems like, you know what I mean? It's you take a glance into his life, right? The social media, and you just see, I don't know, I just see a lot of things that I would want for Jackie and myself, right?
And Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darren's a great guy. We're going to have Darren on the show one day.
Yeah, definitely. Good choice.
That's absolutely happening. So, final thing here. You and Tim live very public lives. Most people don't live their lives, their professional careers, as faces on a camera, voices over footage. But you and Tim both do. What's it like being someone who does that, that's friends with someone who does that, that's kind of been your adult life? If you and Tim didn't do that, if you and Tim weren't professional personalities, just paint me a mental, imaginative picture. Where are the two of you right now as friends? What would you be doing?
I mean, if I never got into being a personality, I'd still be in school trying to be a dentist.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You'd be being a dentist, and what would Tim be?
Honestly, to be completely honest, there is nothing that Tim would have done besides this.
Really?
Because, like, since the first day I met him, it was just in his blood to, like, make content, produce things, and he always had a vision for it.
And that's his thing. That's just what he's going to do.
Yeah, he was always born for that.
So even if he was never in front of the camera, he would at least have been behind it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
he would at least have been in production.
You've been making something somewhere, and you'd be a dentist.
Yeah, oddly enough.
Oh, you have great teeth.
Well, I grew up like wanting to help people. I originally wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and then I realized, like, with my broken family, that career wasn't going to allow me to spend time and, you know, hold a family tight, you know, together. So I eventually started being a dental assistant for my aunt's dentistry.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was doing that for a year. It was actually my first job. And I just grew to love it. I know it sounds weird, but I like, you know, using my hands and being precise with them.
I can totally see you as a dentist.
It just worked.
You ever think about going back and doing it?
I have actually, you know, now that, like, I'm doing Twitch and everything like that, and it's awesome, it's fulfilling. But I'm at the point of my life where I'm like, all right, let's look at the bigger picture when it comes to, you know, all that. I'm like, well, that would be also fulfilling, more of a quieter, you know, path to take.
Well, you could just live stream oral surgery.
This is very true.
You've been there in the mouth, just kind of commenting over it. Yeah, merge the worlds together. Yeah. It's like, okay, so I'm into the root canal now. Oh, there's a little spurt of blood.
Exactly. I can give them a list of games that they can beat me one-on-one. They get a discount on the dental, like, you know what I'm saying? You could just put it together, piece it together, make it a thing.
I wonder, you know, Jackie's, she's going back to school to be a nurse.
Yeah.
You're talking.
Are you
guys going to be a medical family?
We'll see. I think for me, like, my heart could easily be there, but it's just I've had way too much fun doing this, you know.
Well, thank you for telling us about Tim. I really appreciate it, Fredo.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to have you back on to ask about because it sounds like there's a heck of a story on the other side of this.
Oh yeah, there's a whole part too.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I think it's been fun. Thank you for having me on here. I know Tim talks about me, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, I heard this story." So it's very fun to be able to tell.
Well, we're not quite done with
the other half.
Yeah, we got some questions from the audience here.
Let's hear them.
I'm going to pull these up. So the first question here is from Tim Gettys. Who asks, why did he paint his nails black in high school?
That was purely to impress a girl at the time.
Yeah, did it work?
It did, but more so, I kept up with it because I have this very terrible habit of, like, biting my nails.
Oh.
Yeah, I got that from my uncle when I was little. And I kept up with it because it actually stopped me from doing that.
No kidding, because the nail polish.
Yeah, because nail polish. I was like,
I occasionally paint my toenails for fun because it's fun. I just love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm good at it. I keep telling Jackie that I'm good at it, and I can actually paint her nails if she wanted me to.
Our second question is from Tim Gettys, who asks, why does he say he doesn't like sweet, but really does?
It was one of those things where I was very selective, like, with my sweets. Where it was like, everyone's like, I love cake and I love this. And I was like, I don't like those types of things. So I just got to the point where I was like, well, I only do like one or two candy.
What are they?
Snickers.
Okay.
And Twix.
I mean, if you're going to eat one candy, Snickers is a really good
go-to. It's really good.
Snickers good.
But that's literally like all I did. You know, it was that. I mean, and then like Tim was like, oh, we'll do Coke, Coca-Cola too, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, fine, yeah.
Oh, so is this a case where Tim's telling the truth and you're in denial, and you just don't like cake, but you like all other sweets?
Well, I didn't really like that many sweets. It was a very, smaller percentage compared to most people.
Calvin wants to know what it was like running a coffee shop with Tim.
Shenanigans. In the sense of like, you had two young people running a business who had no idea how to run a business.
So you guys actually ran the business?
We did.
Can you talk a little more about this?
I mean, a lot of people at this point know the story, but it got to the point where we were doing such a good job and we were available all the time that the owners were just like, all right, just do it yourself. So, we restocked, we reordered, I set the schedules, and I kind of just ran the business, and then Tim was always running it too with me. And it was,
did it survive?
It did. Well, eventually, it got bought out or whatever, but yeah.
But you did that. I did not know that.
We kept it running during that time.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No clue. And you mentioned shenanigans. Any anecdotes to share?
It's just the type of things where, or at least Tim had the hardest time making specific drinks. Like, he'd always forget the caffeine shots and, like, mochas and stuff like that.
Could people tell that the caffeine wasn't there?
Oh, of course. You can always tell if it's a hot chocolate compared to a mocha. So Tim would always try and sneak by. I'd have to distract, and Tim would sneak by and try to, like, toss it in.
Add it in? You did distractions while...
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, wow, coffee shop guys they're like prestidigitators, like they're like magicians.
We just had to. It was more or less like us fucking up running a business and trying to cover it up. So
sounds like a great television series. I always watch this. We have 2 Patreon producers on the show, people who give very generously. I mean, we have a huge number of people that give generously, but a couple of Patreon producers that go name. One of those is Robert Nieder. The other is Xavier Saint-Amand Tremblay, both of whom I want to thank right now. But Xavier has a question for you. He says to ask you why you quit hula dancing.
I mean, it was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I got to travel, but I don't know, it was just one of those things where I wanted to transition into other stuff. It took a lot of time. Yeah. A lot of time. Practice 2-3 times a week, even more if we had a show.
And it sounds like time's kind of at a premium for you right now, right?
It is. But I mean, back then it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I want to start working, and I want to start, purchasing stuff for myself and having more free time and not being so like obligated to, such a strict schedule.
So I just recorded Jackie, but I think actually your episode may end up going first. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a similar question, but I want to ask you the same one. Because it's coming up a lot here. People want to know how you two met.
So, I mean, we were friends for a while. And it was just one of those things where we were friends, but in my eyes, Jackie was just like this majestic creature in which I had no idea why she even gave me like the peace of mind. She was just my dream girl in my head.
Okay, now I have to ask you something. When I asked Jackie this question, she said we were both friends for a while, then goes on. Yeah. When I asked you this, you said we were both friends for a while and goes on. How did you become friends for a while? Where did that start? Like, where did you first notice one another's existence?
I mean, honestly, it was just one of those things where we're both, in the same space, right? The gaming media. And so, from there you meet, and we're friends. We talked a little bit now and then it just got to a point one week where, we talked, and then we talked the next day, and then we talked the next day, and then the next day.
Is this all through social media?
Yes. Okay. And then Jackie was like, we should game sometime. And I was like, yes, I would definitely, like in my head, like, yes. I was like, all right, play it cool. And I was like, all right, I would love that. And then,
but you're just like, why is this woman interested in talking to me for any reason?
Or... It was one of those things where I was like, all right, Alfredo, she's giving me the time of day. This doesn't mean anything. This doesn't amount to anything more than a friendship. But, play it cool. And so Jackie chose the game.
Your inner monologue is hilarious.
And so she chose Counter-Strike, which I found out later she chose Counter-Strike because she knew I loved FPS gaming and she wanted to impress me. She didn't do that well, but neither of us did, and it didn't matter.
Did you have to carry her?
I mean, I'm a console gamer. Well, now I'm very much heavy into like PC mouse and keyboard, but during the time I was very heavy just console, and so I was terrible too.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
I was terrible.
What does she carry you in?
Ooh, I mean, it'd be WoW if she would play with me.
All right.
Be World of Warcraft.
Now we're doing this off-camera thing again. There's like over there in the corner, just throwing stuff their way. One more question here. From Jake James. What's the goofiest thing to happen to you in real life that embarrassed you?
Goofiest thing to happen to me in real life.
That embarrassed you. Something embarrassing that you can tell us about. Something you're just like, oh, so I'm embarrassed.
I'd probably just off the top of my head, hula. It was during a performance, ethnic dance festival at the San Francisco Palace of Fine Arts. I was front, center, lead, and I just completely blanked out and just did not know where I was in the dance. And then
you just vanished in the middle of it?
Well, I mean, I was
mind
front.
Right, but your mind is gone.
My mind was just gone, and I was like, "Wait, where am I?
Yeah.
Shit, like, how do I even catch up? I can't look behind me."
Yeah.
And then so I just started making stuff up.
You just started making up the dance?
Not making up the dance, more just like, I'm just going to do moves and routines that I know, but, I have no idea where we're at right now.
Is everyone dancing behind you just in horror?
At that point, they're just like, we have no idea what the hell he's doing. Like, we don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something.
So you just went full Napoleon Dynamite with backup dancers right there on the stage.
Yeah.
That's a pretty great moment.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where just like, even like, when you're doing, I don't know, Let's Play or podcast, like if you mess up, don't bring attention to it. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Like that.
Yeah.
Andrew Nickel wants to thank someone. He says, I'd like to thank all my volunteers who've helped me raise money and make Extra Life for Kids a big success in Raleigh, North Carolina.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that is really awesome. Another thank you from Nick, thanks to my father, William, my best friend's father, who passed away last week. He's the funniest and most loving person I've ever met. Then from Jamin Gray, I'd like to thank my dad for instilling a strong desire to never stop learning and reevaluating my worldview. From Nick, thanks to my wife, Audrey, for being such a force in my life and doing so much with our new little family. Jesse says, thanks to my friend Eric Johnson for answering all my baby questions. In 2 weeks, I'll be a dad. Yep. So there's some thank yous to people in the from the audience to people in their lives. We do that every now and then.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I love it. It's great people. Everybody's got a story to tell. And
definitely.
Let's love that. So, are you ready for instant noodles?
I am.
The lightning round.
Give it to me.
By the way, guys, if you got a good instant noodles question, you can always send it to mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. That's mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. Any instant noodles questions, ideas you have, throw them that way. You can also join the Pockets Full of Soup Facebook group where you can talk about these and other questions and ideas and get access to some other things we're going to throw on there. Of course, and, there's patreon.com/Jared Petty where you can send me support, and I hope you do.
Do it.
And is this the part where we do like that? Yeah, it is helpful. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, I mean, come on, Jared. Like, I don't know how many podcasts I've done, but I was like, I got to be here.
What's that? Oh, you're so sweet.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'd make the time.
If you do end up having your podcast, can I come on?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I invited myself. It was fun.
No. No need. You'd be first 10 for sure.
Oh, thank you.
First 10 episodes. Probably first 5.
Bless you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here we go. Number 1. What is best sandwich?
Okay. So I'd have to go with turkey bacon ranch, but ideally it'd be chicken parm. But like chicken parm and SF, the place across the street from IGN, costs like $15.
Americans is closing.
That makes sense. You can't consistently charge $15 for chicken parm, and expect the business to keep running.
Now, to be fair, that was a really good chicken parm.
So good, so good.
But it was a very expensive.
It was an arm and a leg.
Yeah, I like the food at Americans, but I couldn't go eat there. It was too expensive.
Just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should buy it.
Yeah, it was. Although I am, actually Americans is probably closed by the time this goes up. I am a fan of the Brandon Street Cafe just around the corner from IGN.
Yep.
Good, affordable food run by nice people.
Yeah,
I really like those guys. So Brandon Street Cafe, good stuff. What's the best song written in the last 100 years?
Ooh.
Yep. Best song written in the last 100 years, Alfredo.
There's a handful.
Yeah, but you got to pick one because it's lightning round.
Okay, so... Ooh.
I promise you'll only be judged slightly by our audience for your decision.
Enemies with Benefits by Cunnilingus.
Ooh, okay, then you're back to Cunnilingus.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
a good one.
Wow. All right,
Yeah.
so Enemies with Benefits
Yep.
by Cunnilingus. That's
Yep.
the best song in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
I do not know the song. I'm going to have to listen to this. What's the first word you think of when you hear the sound of your own voice?
Oh, man. First word I think of?
Yep. Say a word. Right? Just say something.
Unfitting. Like inappropriate. Mismatch.
Mismatch. That's
Yeah.
the word. Mismatch. You don't
Yeah.
feel like what comes out of your mouth fits you?
Because I'm streaming, I look like a 17-year-old camboy, but then I sound like this.
Like, hello.
Like, hello, hi.
Hello there.
Hi. I had one person jump on my Twitch chat like a couple weeks ago, and they were just like, "So you just faking your voice?" And I'm like, "Man, I've been doing this for like 6 years. I can't keep up something like that for that long."
This is just how you talk.
Yeah,
I've been around you a lot. No.
Makes no sense.
You tickle him, he still giggles at the same tone.
I wish I could grow a beard to make it match a little more,
Watch this.
but I
Tickle
can't.
him. Watch, he's gonna just. Oh, he does. He's not ticklish down there. Oh, there it was. That was pretty good. That's a little Pillsbury Doughboy right there. Let's see. Which favorite flavor ice cream?
Ooh, mint chocolate chip.
Oh,
But I've been really liking vanilla bean lately.
You know, Jackie said the same thing about the mint chocolate chip.
Yeah, it works out very well. We go to movie theaters. She gets mint chocolate chip ice cream. I sneak some, but I play it cool, right? So she gets like a mountaintop. I wait till she gets down to the actual cone.
Yeah.
Because then the mint chocolate chip with the cone.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
That's a good blend.
Yeah.
All right. So you just wait till she gets the.
I wait till she gets to the prime, ice cream eating
see.
position.
If you could travel through time and meet one person, who would you visit?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. You go back in time and meet like younger Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Or would you go forward in time and meet older Michael Jordan?
I would meet probably second championship Michael Jordan.
Second championship. Why that period of time?
I don't know. I feel like it'd be very interesting to meet someone who is successful at what he's doing, so driven and so focused. I feel like I could learn a lot from that.
And it's fascinating that you want to meet him when he's in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Instead of when that is intriguing.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a great thought.
I feel like if I was able to meet him and just sit down for like a day or two, I would just you pick a brain from someone's brain who's just so focused and determined.
Yeah, and you want to meet him then when he's in the middle of it. Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, great answer, Fredo. What's the most terrifying creature in the natural world?
Spiders.
Spiders, very popular choice.
That is, some of them just look wicked.
Yeah.
It's why do you exist? I don't even know. It's scary.
What's your favorite word?
Ooh,
Yeah, what's your favorite word?
Jackie. I'm just kidding. No, Jackie is my favorite word.
Jackie is your favorite word?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Is Jackie really your favorite word?
It is. It's just I use it often, and it always puts a smile on my face. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Who was your first kiss?
I don't remember her name.
Mm-hmm.
It was middle school,
Mm-hmm.
and I leaned in and banged my teeth against hers.
Oh, so there we go.
Yeah. So, Jackie told me that I'm very efficient in the ways of kissing. So I'm glad I learned not to.
You got farther along there.
I'm glad I learned not to go teeth first when it comes to with Jackie. So.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Well, I don't know, efficient. That's interesting. I hear you described as efficient. I'm just kind of imagining Jackie being there like an inspector, like you're efficient and sufficient.
Yes.
Like just kind of walking away.
This kiss pleases me.
I don't know why she suddenly has a Russian accent when I did it. That was kind of strange. I don't know why I did that. My apologies to Jackie, who does not have a Russian accent. Why did I do that?
Oh, I do it all the time. Don't even worry.
Okay. Cake or pie?
Ooh, pie.
Yeah, because you told me earlier you didn't
apple
like cake.
pie. Not a fan of cake.
Yeah, apple pie.
Yeah, I was always the kid that had a cake at his birthday but never ate it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, sounds depressing, but really not.
It's for somebody else. Final one. What's one question you have for me?
So, where would you want to take all this?
I get that one. I get that one a lot from people. Right now, right here.
Yeah.
And then iterative experiments toward other things. I really, really enjoy writing, and I'd like to find a way to integrate this more and more into the written word, which is something I love very much.
Makes sense.
So that's one place I want to take it. there are other things I like to talk about and other personalities I like to talk about things with, and I'd like to find ways to make those conversations available to people and to be challenged by them. I like lifelong learning. I'd like to work education into this somehow eventually. Those are all angles that have come to mind. And then some of these little weird experimental things that I throw out there now, Patreon exclusive podcasts. We just spent 40 minutes talking about potatoes. That was not entirely by accident. I like foodie type stuff. I'm dieting right now. It's an interesting topic. I've thought about that. I'm kind of all over the map. I want to do more with Pizza and Dinosaurs, which is the kind of, hey, you guys decide what happens next in the story thing.
Yep.
I think I may do more with that eventually. And then I got some other stuff that I'm not ready to talk about yet that I've been thinking about. So lots. My mind never rests. It's mostly, again, a matter of how the time works and the energy works, making sure that right now everything's appearing on time, but I want to make sure that I keep what I'm doing sustainable in the middle of all this. Make sure I've got the time to get it done and do it right. So.
Oh, all right.
That's my answer for right now.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Writing. I mean, anybody out there from any large publishers or small publishers or any publishers that wants to offer me, a book deal, please mail at pocketsfullofsoup.com. That's.
I would. Is there going to be a book signing? Can I?
If I have a book deal, there will definitely be a book signing. Would you not shut me away? I will not shut you away. You're welcome to come. But thanks for asking. And thanks for coming on. I'm so glad to have
this
you.
was fun.
So everybody can find you. Let's get these places that they can come see you.
Alfredo Plays on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon.
Yep.
The whole 9 yards.
And you just mentioned, I guess Twitch Prime's going to be old by the time this goes up. Probably it'll be a few weeks in.
Yeah.
But how does that help
people still be learning about it?
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
Essentially, a lot of people have Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you get to subscribe to a Twitch streamer for free every month, along with a ton of other perks. Like you get in-game loot, you get Twitch Turbo, so ad free.
And you get money when they do this.
I do.
That's kind of cool.
They don't take anything away from me whatsoever.
There you go.
I mean, I think it's awesome. Just yesterday alone, we had 50 new subs because of Twitch Prime.
I have an Amazon Prime account. I did not know about Twitch Prime. Guess what's going to happen when I get off the show? It's going to go to you. That's right. That's what's going to happen.
And you get a Pokeball because my sub badge is a Pokeball.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to subscribe to you.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. I'm very happy
about catch that. Jared.
Yeah, he's got to catch them all. All right. Hey, thank you so much for coming on.
No, this is fun.
You, dude. Thanks so much. Have fun at dinner with Tim and Kevin tonight.
I shall. It'll be a long night.
All right. Yeah. And until next time.
Oh, very soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.